Namaskar. Hello and welcome to P Guru's channel. I'm your host Sree Iyer, coming live from Ganeshot Claus channel as well as on P Guru's. We have the three good generals back with us: General Dushyant Singh, General Ravi Shankar, and General Rajiv Narayanan. A hearty welcome to all of you, gentlemen. How are you?
Oh,
Thank
thanks a
you,
lot.
sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Pleasure to be on your show finally.
Yes. So viewers, we are going to be on Thursdays at 8 p.m. with time permitting. All the three good generals will be on our show at that time. And thank you so much, General Ravi Shankar and General Dushyant, for adjusting the time slot from Sunday to Thursday at 8 p.m.
Eco
Let's
coming.
start. We have a sir. Go ahead, sir. You want to say something, General Ravi?
There's an
Rajiv?
eco.
I'm getting an echo. Okay. Okay.
Somebody's
I'll
mic on the other platform is on.
hang
No,
on.
nothing.
Nothing.
We don't have any mic on.
How about you, General Ravi Shankar? Do you hear the echo?
There's an
No, sir, General Rajiv Narayanan, the echo appears to be on your side. Everywhere
I
else, it
have
seems to be all right.
nothing. I have nothing on.
Okay.
No, you might have to just switch it on and off or log off and log in.
I'll just
Or it might
switch
be a
off.
Yeah. Okay, General Rajiv Narayanan will be joining us again very shortly. General Ravi Shankar, we have a couple of PowerPoint presentations today. I think let's lead off with yours because yours sets the context. And then General Rajiv Narayanan drills into the details of what is happening as far as the free trade agreement and its ramifications go. Maybe we should just get going, sir, and the General will join us in a short while.
Yeah. Look, this whole thing, started today morning, in fact, yesterday evening, with three sets of tweets by Trump. This is the first Trump tweet. And he's spoken of, India getting a lot of equipment from Russia. That's what I've highlighted. And we are the largest buyer of energy. So that's the thing. And then he said India will therefore be paying a tariff of 25%. That's what he said. And a penalty for the above. That's the first thing. And India's response was pretty measured. What the government of India has said, this is the Press Information Bureau statement. And that's the only reaction from government of India. We've said the government attaches utmost importance to protecting and promoting the welfare of our farmers, entrepreneurs, and MSMEs. And the government will take necessary steps to secure our national interest. So very clear. And they've also highlighted we've done it with other trade agreements with, and latest comprehensive economic and trade agreement with UK. So it's a very measured response. It kept all door opens and we said where it will go. Second tweet, he said we've just concluded a deal with the country of Pakistan, whereby Pakistan and United States will work together on developing their massive oil reserves. I don't know where this oil has come from. We are in the process of choosing the oil company that will lead this partnership.
Could he be confusing oil with gas?
No, whatever is confusing. The fact is, this story, 5 years back, Imran Khan also gave out big tweets that, offshore in the Indus Delta, there's oil and it'll change the fortunes of the thing. That's about all. So he could be confusing about anything, but oil, Pakistan has neither. Okay. Then later, the third tweet which he came out was a bit of a rant. He says, I don't care what India does with Russia. They can take their dead economies down the line. I don't care. We have done very little business with India. The tariffs are too high and among the highest in the world. I thought this was a bit derogatory. So is he frustrated? What it is, we don't know. But we'll leave that. Look, this map is very interesting. It gives out the level of tariffs which are there. Those ones in blue are the ones which have already gone into an agreement with them. The ones in orange are all at 25-27%. Okay, including Canada, Mexico, Brazil is 50%. So this is an interesting map. Okay, I'll get this map are those countries, less China, of course, China is not included in this, which are paying only 10% tariff, which includes Australia, Ukraine, Egypt, Ghana, Colombia, Peru, Argentina. They're only paying 10% tariffs. Look, this gives you an indirect method of exporting through these countries, or for that matter, those countries which have already done a deal. So it's not as if this, tariff barrier is unsurmountable. Then, of course, there is tariffs, steel 50%, aluminum 50%, auto and auto parts another 25%, and copper parts 50%. That's operative. But I want to point out a few interesting things. India doesn't depend on trade. We all know that it's a consuming economy. Unlike Germany and South Korea, which are 84% on trade, their exporting economy. A thing like Singapore is 330% of the GDP, is trade. We are not bothered about that. So fundamentally, we are as a consuming economy. Someone has given out India doesn't need the world needs India. And Mr. Trump is spurning India. That's itself is a joke. And this is the way I look at it. To give an opening thing with a short, it's largely a negotiating tactic. Negotiations are still on. He might be even trying to force his way through the negotiations. And people have to realize India can't be another Pakistan or China. We have FTAs with other countries, whole lot of other countries. I'll not go into the list. We have the capability to realign our trade, right? Despite everything, some exports will remain the cheapest. I think big pharma and electronics are exempted. If pharma and electronics are exempted, virtually 50% of the tariffs lose value. Okay. You can always use the third party route. You can use services. What about services and investment? That's a huge thing because anything manufactured in USA vis-a-vis anything manufactured in India, the differential will be huge, and it will still be cheaper when it goes to USA after paying all. And I don't think this will have much effect. And are we being pushed towards China and Russia at some level, at some stage? Someone in USA will start thinking we are doing the wrong thing. We have a strategic partnership with them. This is supposed to be our frontline state against China. You've gone and sat in Pakistan's lap. It's a heavy incongruity. So there's a lot of scope to discuss many things. But I think Trump has fundamentally shot himself in the foot for the simple reason the two biggest populated countries, China and India, he's fought. That's almost half of the world's population. So where does this trade deal go? What happens is up for the grabs. This is so much to set the context. Back to you, Sree Iyerji. Yeah.
Sorry about that. There's a dog barking outside my door, so I had muted myself. Okay. He's not happy. I pushed him out to come into this room, and he's not happy. General Rajiv Narayanan, you have put together a fantastic slide presentation, and so has General Dushyant Singh. So I'd like to go to you first, Sir, General Rajiv Narayanan, and then we will look at General Dushyant Singh's slide deck. Over to you, General Rajiv Narayanan.
Before I get into the slide deck, there is a lot of chatter on the net about first to the deal or India should do a deal early. I'll just give you the relevance and put in picture why India is silent and not too worried. I'll start with China. Basically looking at how much percentage of their GDP export-import impacts. How much percentage? Because anything double digit, it hits your economy very badly. China, I have added Hong Kong and Macau. I don't know about how much about third-party countries are sending it into US. Hong Kong, Macau, we know. Now, the net, when you look at China's US trade, close to 26% is export and around 11% is import. That is China. Then let us look at Vietnam. 30% export dependent on US and over 12% import from USA. Japan, much is talked about it. 24% of GDP is the export and 21.8%, that is 22%, Now you realize that the moment Trump says, I'm going to hit you with tariffs, they would have gone running, because the economy can't withstand any impact at such a large double-digit percentage of GDP. Now we come to India. What's your trade with US? He mentioned it. We hardly do any trade. 2% of our GDP is export to US, and 1.3% is the import. So it doesn't make a difference to you. You can diversify. 2% of GDP and 1.2% of GDP is nothing. Now, Trump doesn't understand this. So now we can go to the slide deck and just, I'll take you through certain things. Now, yeah, can it stand scrutiny? Next slide. I thought I should be having it anyway. Is what Trump doing legal? As per WTO, it is illegal. First, even though they have some acts in the US which gives him a fig leaf of cover, the powers of the US are, if I remember correctly, the Congress has to ratify this deal. Without the Congress ratifying the deal, it doesn't stand. Now, while he has done the deal with EU, Japan, Vietnam, and all these countries, except Pakistan, I don't think any of the parliaments is going to pass it. In the morning today, I had gone for a book release, and was a discussion with the French. And he has said, Macron has just said, no, take a walk as far as Ursula is concerned. He said, you are nobody. But just look at the deal, almost 700 to 750 billion in the next 3 years. They're going to start importing energy from US at what cost? Look at Japan and even EU agreeing to invest close to over 500 billion in US, establish plants, run those plants, and 90% of the profit US is going to take. Which parliament is going to clear it? So Trump is living in some other world. I really don't think. Pakistan, of course, usko to jitne paise mil jaye, he'll be ready to do it. So Pakistan will do it. Let's look at EU. 27 parliaments he's got to clear it from. And already Italy and France have come on one side and said no, and that is the end of this deal. So I don't think he's getting any deal through. Just signing of the deal is one thing. Ratification by the parliament for the deal to come into effect is another thing. Like we have signed the agreement with the trade deal with UK. It will come into effect sometime next year. But what went silently under the radar was the ETF. The 4 countries of EU, Norway, Iceland, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein. You signed the agreement. Everything has been cleared. Parliament has cleared it. 1st October, it is effective. So you have an effective trade deal. You have another thing which I'm sure the parliament will clear of UK. He has nothing. And I don't think he'll have anything other than Pakistan. Maybe Philippines may do it. Indonesia may do it. Will Brazil accept it? I really don't know.
Brazil is fighting, eh?
So he's fighting. He's not going to accept it. So chote-mote countries will clear it. Japan, just because he was going to sign this deal, the midterm election, he has lost control of his parliament, the Diet. He neither has the majority in the upper house, nor has he got the majority in the lower house. How is he going to clear this trade deal? बात करने के लिए बड़ा अच्छा है सर. साउथ कोरिया इज द सेम थिंग. पार्लियामेंट से पास करके दिखाओ ना आप मेरे को, then their trade deal has a value. Otherwise, it is toilet paper, pardon my saying. Next. The other day I was listening and I've given you the link in the YouTube. You can have a look at it. Lee Sing Loong, the ex-PM. It's almost 6 or 7 hours of question answer session, little bit of talk, and he dropped a bombshell. Not exactly boycott America. He said world -1 when we were discussing his US. That the world, that is, he was talking of the world island. He said the world island can live without US. Can the US live without the world? That the US has to decide. But in this, there are two issues here. While it is easy for him to say it, like I told you, the dependencies that are there already. Global North, EU, 5% of GDP is export, but they're not mentioning how much of import. It is almost about 40-45%. So will the Global North bite the bullet? And can the Global South exert pressure? That is the question. If push comes to shove and this happens, I'm sure US will be left holding the wrong end of the stick. And the feedback getting from the ground through US is there are a lot of people in the Trade Department and think tanks, diplomats, retired diplomats, who are very angry with Trump as to what he is doing. That it is going to be very difficult to regain trust from certain countries again if Trump pushes this any further. Next. Now, this is our stock market's reaction, which gives you the thing. Moment he had tweeted, it came down. After that, is just going up. They're not bothered because they are looking at opportunities. Now the opportunities open up for them. Now, when you're going to diversify, where will you diversify? Rest of Asia, countries in Europe, Africa, Latin America. That's the opportunity they're looking at, and those stocks are rising. Next. As they say, stock markets never lie. I've just listed out the 10 major products, aircraft and aerospace equipment from US to India, plastics, medical equipment. There are some pharmaceuticals which under pressure. We are buying from him, which we don't need actually now. We can cut it off. Defense and security equipment. I'm surprised that he's still ranting about Russia. Your Russia, which was very high at about 70%, is today
30%.
36% something.
Yeah.
The US one is rising. And some talk about atomic reactors. No, it is not atomic reactors. When I went granular and started searching inside, it is essentially uranium. Uranium, US themselves, why do I need from them? I can buy, there are so many other sources from where we have done. Leather products, renewable energy technologies is the one that you're looking at. We are giving our own homegrown. And what are we selling? You say diamonds, you have medical appliances, jewelry, agro products, refined petroleum, and various other things that you are selling. You can diversify easily. Like I said, it is 2% and 1.3% of the GDP. It's not very big. So diversification for India is not a challenge. It will be a challenge for Japanese and Chinese and others who have a very large dependency on the US. Next. So can you diversify? Yes, it can, to both global north and south. Like I said, will they bite the bullet? Even if you start now, it will take a little time. Contracts have to be signed, agreements have to be done. But you have to, and you need to weather the turbulence. You can do it because it's not a major thing as far as the GDP is concerned. Though I think, if I remember correctly, it was the World Bank or maybe the IMF. They had said that if America goes down this path, it will have a 0.8% impact on the global GDP. Negative. So you can, if EU trade deal, if EU drags it, break the EU. Italy, France, Greece, and Cyprus are ready. Since you're getting into Greece, get into Bulgaria, Romania, Slovakia, Czech Republic. Sorry, I repeated Slovakia again. Hungary, Poland, they'll come on board because from Greece, the land route is there through these countries. Spain and Portugal may follow. Speak to Greece. Greece is ready to give you the Piraeus port. Take the Piraeus port and you're through. For that, you activate the IMEC. Get the European countries on board who are affected. Get the West Asian countries on board. You don't need the US. Eastern, I'll show you the Eastern INSTC, which is what India is pushing for now. Kazakhstan has agreed to join. Dump the trade deal with ASEAN because you're not happy with it. You're losing almost about 40,000 crores every year. Dump it and start doing it with individual countries. They'll come on board with you. Latin America, Caribbean, Africa, they do provide a wealth of opportunities, but getting there, doing the deals takes a little time. Next. This is the INST, Eastern Seaboard. Initially, it was from Mumbai. To my understanding, it will start now from Vizhinjam. Vizhinjam to Chabahar. Chabahar straight up is the link to Mashhad. From Mashhad, you join in the old Soviet railway line and you stay east of the Caspian and get to Astrakhan. Because Azerbaijan is still not playing ball, two things have happened. They have not done their last 70 kilometers connectivity between Iran and Azerbaijan. It passes through two Azeri province, which they claim, which are Azeri population predominant in Iran. That is where their previous leader died in the helicopter crash. That has not been covered. So India has said, forget it, yeah, we'll go via Mashhad and go by the eastern route. Kazakhstan is ready to connect to this line, and they'd like to. There is a oil LNG terminal. They are saying make an oil terminal. We'd like to take out the oil and gas terminal from Chabahar. And I'm sure Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan will also play ball. And they are very keen on this because this stays away from the Gulf of Hormuz. The Chabahar stays away from Gulf of Hormuz. So now if US doesn't play ball, this gets activated. This shows a much faster route towards Eastern Europe via Russia. So there are various other options. The slide deck can be closed. I think there's no other slide after this. So there are a lot of options available. We need not worry. Yeah. Okay. This is the last one. The final words. After Op Sindoor, initially you were saying, people were saying you are the fulcrum around which the new order will come up. After Op Sindoor, they started saying you are the hub around which it will come up. Which they are talking of multipolarity, which is not what the US want. So he cannot accept it without a fight. And he is worried about this rising power. The last tweet he made about that, because he can't control you. You've risen up despite him, and it is not as much the exports towards you, and exports don't account to much of your GDP. It is everything is internal consumption. So you have the strength to stand up to him. Now he is trying to modify the Thucydides trap from a conflict to a geo-economic friction on trade deals and tariffs. But unfortunately, it doesn't work in a globalized, interdependent world. No wonder GE wants to make the engine 414 in India. That's what the latest I read, the news report, that they're in urgent talks to establish that for Tejas Mark II and establish the 414 factory in India. How much of TOT? That is what the negotiations, I believe, is on. So now this is, I would say, India's opportunity to lose. Kowtow like others, the game is over. Stand and deal with US post diversification and the game is yours. So at the moment, the way the government has gone about, why Trump is worried is, when he has imposed tariffs on most of these other countries, they have immediately called him, the leaders, and sent their trade delegation. India has done reverse. We have not even spoken to him. Our trade delegation is back. And Trump is now talking that on 25th August. So he is, I feel, on a slightly weaker wicket here. A lot of pharmaceuticals go from India to that place. And if he is not careful, then the pharmaceutical prices will go to the roof. And it is going to impact his health services. All cannot afford all the costly medicines that are available in the US. And India can diversify. Then US will have nothing left. That is what I'm saying.
Narayanan, General Dushyant, you have a slide deck also to present, sir, and I'd like to invite you to present your slide deck, and then we can start analyzing various options and perspectives. Over to you, sir.
Okay, so I really don't have a slide deck. We can switch it off for a while and then I'll get this slide deck. What I wish to say is that based on whatever General Narayanan has presented and General Shankar has presented, there is only one observation, and that is that while overall the trade percentages for India are low, as compared of export as compared to the other countries. But if you look at the trade deficit with US, our exports are about $40 billion more than the imports. So, and this we are trying to use it as a balance on the deficit which we are facing with the Chinese. With the Chinese, we have a deficit of about $99 billion. You can say roughly about it. It varies between 90 to $95 billion. That's the range in which the deficit is against us as far as China is concerned, and in favor with the US, we have the figure about 45 billion dollars. So 50% of our overall trade, which is import and export, gets compensated by the US exports. So that is one area which we need to worry about. So for that, it's not that we cannot get over it, but the fact is that we need to take that into account. So that's why the trade deal is, going on for such a longer duration. And I'm sure our powers that be who are engaging in this trade deal will take care of this particular issue. Now I'll just get the one slide which I have with three figures on it, which is the first figure is India-US trade, and in this, what I have highlighted here is the fact that two areas where we are going to be affected is the defense and to some extent the pearls and the pearls, stones and diamonds, etc. These are the areas where we will get impacted. As far as the aircrafts is concerned, if we have to take it from aircraft, defense equipment, etc., if we have to take it from the US, we don't know exactly whether the 25% tariff will apply across the board to all the equipment, or it would be selective, that only the once the details come out or once we get indulged into this kind of a trade, we will get to know about it. But what is more important is I want to show certain two more figures. Just look at the right graph. If you can't see the graph, doesn't matter. What I want to show to you all is that the private sector of ours has overtaken the public sector. Now that's a very good trend. In 24-25, we have gone across the public sector as far as defense industry is concerned, which is something which in my view in the long run will be able to offset all this the dependency on Russia and the other Western countries like US, France, Israel, etc. If you look at the army figure, I'm not talking of the Air Force and the Navy figure. In the army figure, from 24-25, we have zero foreign imports. Zero. Most of the contracts are going to the indigenous. Like for example, even the if you look at the Swarm satellites thing, it's gone to Kepler. It's a startup of India. So we are making a solid progress. So this dhamki is not going to really work on India. Yeah, and as far as the conventional weapon systems are concerned, which is aircraft, this particular slide can be taken off. As far as our conventional systems are concerned, like the aircrafts, etc. Look, the warfare is changing. We really don't require to go up to the 46 cordon, which the Air Force has been trying to talk about. There are other ways and means to offset the requirement of Air Force. We got missiles, we got drones, we got whole lot of other other areas where we are gaining a lot of indigenous traction. So that is one thing which I think the Americans have to take into account. Secondly, who is desperate for defense sales? India is not that much desperate, other than the engines, etc. One or two areas, yes, we are little difficult, but otherwise, when I had done my own interaction in the US, I realized that it's the US which is desperate, and it is the think tank of Trump which is most desperate, because they have been given some target that you have to show so much of exports, etc., of their defense equipment, and I'm specifically referring to heritage. So I don't think the drivers are with the Americans. The drivers are with us. We are the consuming economy, even as far as defense industries go, and we have options. We have the option of France. We have the option of other European countries. So this defense impact is going to be there, but we have the options to overcome those impact. And also our indigenous content is increasing very, very rapidly. So these were the two major issues which I wanted to highlight, that ultimately it will be the US which will be the sufferer in this particular deal. The other issues which I wanted to say was that what are the other diversification options? Look, south to south, our exports have gone from 686 crore in 2013 to 25,000 crore. That is no mean achievement. If you put the graphs together, I didn't get that graph. The current bar graph looks way high. It's like a Qutub Minar, and the 2013 graph is somewhere around 1 centimeter or so. So that is the level of exports which we have started. So exports of defense equipment is also in some way compensating for our dependence on the other countries. That was the point number one. And diversification, I think India stands a better chance. We have better relations with South South. We are breaking the North countries. The northern countries are now, I mean, the so-called North countries and the Western countries are actually striking individual deals with us, whether it is the normal trade or whether it is defense trade. So that is another big issue. As far as South South is concerned, I mean, the Prime Minister gave a statement that out of the 193 countries, barring three, the rest of the 195 countries supported India. And this also is based on my own think tank's research, where we actually collected the response of each country, and we realized that the world is with us. And the result you're seeing, TRF has been proscribed. The UN has accepted TRF as a terrorist group. So these things are the ones which are going to count in the FATF review, which is going to take place very soon. And the effort of Pakistan, Trump, to continue to hyphenate India with Pakistan is not cutting ice at all. Today, he again tried to do that by saying that Indian economy is dead, and he's now having a oil deal with them. What oil deal? I don't understand. Let them come to Balochistan. I'm telling you, it is America which is stepping into a trap. To me, it looks like, I may be wrong. To me, it looks like the Chinese are prodding the Pakistanis to get these guys inside this problem called hell, called Balochistan, get themselves trapped here, and then they realize, oh, ये तो दूसरा Afghanistan हो गया. This is second Afghanistan which has happened. That's the thing that's why the Chinese are not making much of a fuss about it. The Pakistanis trying to tilt so much toward the Americans. So overall, I feel that this deal, and if you look at the other equipment, Striker, we don't want it. Yeah, Javelin, we don't want it. I fought like hell and told them I don't want Striker. I don't want the Javelin. I have the options for that, and they're hell bent on giving us their old equipment called Striker. We told them give these equipment for trial. Oh no, trial we won't give. We have to do the trial. We have to take this equipment. Can it function at high altitude? Can it function in the desert? Can it function in the terrain in the northeast? They're not willing to do that. So I don't think we should get too much perturbed with this tariff deal. Yes, gems and pharma, there will be an impact on us, and we should find alternate markets for them, and essentially for export. There are people who will be willing to take these on. These are not very, very high end. In fact, the Americans will be very unhappy with the diamonds not coming out from India to the US. So I'll stop here, basically because everything else has been added to by the other two speakers. Overall, the tariffs is not a good game as far as US is trying to play with India.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. Now I'll add my 2 cents to what I have been hearing, since I am a US citizen and I'm also plugged into many networks on what is really the sticking point here. And I'm hearing that it's not the dairy, it's not the agricultural things, it is something else. And that is that United States wants to somehow wean India away from Russia for its energy. And I think that's where things are going a little pear-shaped as far as the deal is concerned. And India may be still saying that, look, we would like to get some oil from you, but not all oil from you. Because I think Trump is trying to hit 2 birds with 1 stone. He wants Russia to be punished, meaning like India stops getting its oil from Russia. And he wants that entire thing to be going towards United States. If you start looking at it in a little bit more detail, it might not be possible at all, because the type of crude you get from Russia is different from the type of crude you get from America. So there are lots of things. I kind of agree with General Rajiv Narayanan that by the time these things are ratified by the respective parliaments, my God, much water is going to flow down the Potomac. But be that as it may, it's a good rhetoric. It's to try and say that I am the boss in the room, and somebody is not accepting that, and that has kind of got him a little bit hot under the collar. You have to wait for Trump. I mean, Trump has made many statements, and then he has done 180-degree shifts after that. So that is Trump for you. General Dushyant, I'm just going in the reverse direction now. The overall situation here, do you think India has already mapped out a scenario where their pharma exports, worst case, their software exports, all these things, if US completely stops, that they have alternate markets for these?
Okay, so I'll first take the software
Yeah.
bit. Now, as far as software bits is concerned, yes, India is a major source, and that will affect our services sector as far as our trade is concerned. But what is the situation on ground? As far as these big companies are concerned, I think they have no other option but to depend on India's resources. At such a short notice, it is unlikely that they will be able to replace all of them. Yes, some of these big firms have done some what do you call purging of employees, especially in the middle level, not on the top level and not on the bottom level, but most of Microsoft, etc. They have announced certain layoffs, etc. But ultimately they have to depend on India. So I'm not so much worried about the software. But yes, pharma and gems. I think these are two areas where we need to have alternate sources, because ultimately, look, our success lies in the overall trade balance, not with a particular country. So if our overall trade balance even today is just about, I think, 1.6% in the deficit, if I'm not wrong. One can check it. I heard it in one of the seminars by a renowned economist. So we have a very small hill to cross. Let me put it this way. And I'm sure as we are breaking the Western world, we should be able to find alternate markets for our gems and jewelry. Pharma. Uh, Pharma also, the dependencies ultimately will come back to India. See, we started doing a change with China a little about 4 or 5 years back. With the Chinese, what we are doing is we have created a supply chain, whether it is through third party or not, but our raw material problem with China has been resolved. So we are producing the desired number of our capacity as far as pharma is concerned. It's only the export market is what which we have to look for. The African continent and the Latin American continent, to me, it looks like is the area where we would be able to offset this particular. And given the kind of help which we gave during COVID, I think we will get the we'll get the alternate markets here. And just to put you in some kind of a calm assuredness, is that we started working on all these diversification about 2 years back, whether it was defense or whether it was pharma.
That would
So
have been
diversification
February
is going on.
2022 when India did that big jump to start importing from Russia.
Correct.
I mean, Biden was pissed as hell at that point of time.
Yes.
Sir, please continue. Yeah.
Even Biden actually exercised sanctions. What they exercised sanctions on the ships which were carrying oil from Russia
Yes.
to
Yes.
India,
Yes.
even if they were from third countries, they were being excised that sanction. But we were able to overcome that. I think there were some negotiations done, and finally that thing got sorted out. This time around, let us see. Let us see how much of a implementation he can do as far as the sanctions are concerned. Secondary sanctions. I'm talking of the secondary sanctions which he has laid on the Russian energy deal with us. But even the energy deal, if you remember, we started approaching Venezuela, etc. Very very, I think 2 or 3 years back. So we are
Yeah.
into these kind of diversification. So that Russia may suffer a little bit. I don't think India will suffer. Russia may suffer, but India won't suffer. That's the way I look at it.
You're absolutely right, sir. New oil sources are coming online. Guyana, Suriname, and Trinidad and Tobago, they all have oil, uh, deposits. Guyana is
See,
supposed to have as much as Venezuela, if not more. So interesting
yeah.
times ahead, especially for Russia. You are absolutely right. General Rajiv, in all these
Just I
things going on, yeah, go ahead, sir.
just one more point. I was the other day hearing Mr. Puri, the Minister for
Yes,
Energy and
Hardeep Singh
Petroleum,
Puri. Yeah.
Harjit Singh Puri. He assured the country, I can say, by saying that as far as oil and gas is concerned, we will be not impacted at all, Russian oil or no oil. The focus has been changed, I think 4 years back, when there is a concerted effort by India itself to start exploring and mining, start
Hmm.
exploring for oil. We had stopped exploring oil for the last, I think, 20 years. There was no exploration being done. Now a lot of companies have been invited to carry out exploration across our coast and inside the country also, and this is going on silently. And it is a part of this effort that we struck some kind of a reserves in the Andaman Nicobar. So that effort is also a very important point to say that yes, in the long run, I don't think we will have that much of a impact of the oil trade, which Trump is trying to uh, put it as a threat to us.
Thank you so much, sir. General Rajiv, I have a question for you. You saw this storm in a teacup as far as the energy, Nayara Energy and Microsoft is concerned. I thought Microsoft was being very unprofessional in doing this. And finally, I think they saw the writing on the wall, or somebody said there, look, you're getting into a mess here. Sir,
No,
your
no,
comment on this. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
I'll tell you what happened. When Microsoft stopped it, first step that Naira took was approach the Indian companies. Rediff came there in 48 hours. They said, we'll give you all the service at half the cost. Concurrently, since the new laws and other things have been passed in India, Naira filed a case against Microsoft in the Delhi High Court. A legal notice came. I'm not sure how many $billion they were charged for violating the contract. Within 12 hours on its knees, Microsoft has restarted everything. It has learned the lesson that, see, the problem with the US and the US companies are they are thinking it is India of 2018 when Trump took on Iran. You put pressure on India and said you do not take any oil from Iran. That was the cheapest, by the way, that we were getting next door. And we made it zero then. It is the COVID, the way you handled and the way you got the trust. And like Jen Dushyant said, from 21 onwards, we have started diversification to all places. Mozambique, Angola, you signed contracts with everybody. And now when he's come and told why you are on a strong wicket as far as Russia is concerned. When the EU and the US sanctioned Russia for oil, not for gas and minerals, for oil, they immediately walked up like old landlords to Saudi Arabia to say that, okay, you divert and give us equivalent oil. That Saudi Arabia told them, there is the door, get lost. There are international rules and regulations. There are agreements that I have signed with countries. I'm not going to cancel it. I didn't ask you to, did you take my advice before you went and sanctioned that oil? That's part of the overall oil that is available in the market. Number two, they asked them to increase. They said, why should I increase the output? The cost will go down. My economy will be impacted. So the backdoor deal was done. India, when they brought that oil, refined, and that is how you are the biggest supplier of oil. Nayara is the number one supplier of diesel and aviation fuel to EU. The sanction was supposed to be from 1st of January 2026. 3 days, I think 4 days ago, Nayara stopped the supply. He says, what you have done is illegal. They said, no, that is illegal. He said, what you have done is also illegal. Who has authorized you to sanction me? For what? This is Indian oil. I can get crude from anywhere. Once I refined it, it is my country's oil. On what basis have you sanctioned India? He stopped it. Now from back door they are saying, no, let us do a deal. Nara says, come front. You made the sanction up front. You made a noise up front. You want a deal with me? Come up front. Otherwise, I have already diversified. India is absorbing some amount. Rest of Asia, some in Africa, rest in Latin America. I have no deal with you. Come up front, sign a fresh deal, then you will get it. Now, that is why Ursula went running to Trump कि तेरे कहने पे मैंने sanction कर दिया, मेरे तो जूते पड़ गए. But the issue is that is also a threat that Nayara has given, because whatever sanction Ursula does has to be ratified by the 27 parliaments.
Yeah.
Why will the parliament permit that? Sir, if you buy from US, France itself at that time had said, when US said, I will give you, that you are giving me at 5 times the cost. So that is a big problem that they have. They know they can't live without you, but they look down upon you that you were the colony. You were my slaves. Now I am dependent on you for survival. That is actually the problem which is running through at the moment, especially amongst the liberals. And that is why you see the rise of the right wing. They say the Nationalist Party, call what you will. That is where the rise is coming up. And the desperation is coming up where they are taking the judiciary to proscribe those parties and say that they should not be permitted to stand in election. That is a problem that Europe has to solve it. So you are doing the correct thing, like what was mentioned by General Dushyant also. We are breaking the EU. The companies are breaking ranks and coming and wanting to do trade deal with you. They are desperate because you need this, sir. If their company comes and makes it, they know that he will not be that much dependent on export for survival, because the internal consumption is so high in India. As of last year's, which they have given, 24-25, the economic survey, 64.1% of your GDP, sir, is contributed from internal consumption. 64.1%. Which company will not want to come to India? I think Trump has got it wrong. He's going the wrong way, trying to put the pressure and capture the market. India is not the India of 2018 or of his first term. Much water has flown down the Potomac. India is a different kettle of fish today. You're muted, sir. You're muted.
Thank you so much, General Rajiv, and thanks for letting me know. I'm trying to keep the dog out of my ears also. General Ravi Shankar, there's an interesting news item I read today that 4 Indian public oil companies like Indian Oil, Mangalore refineries and others, 4 of them have stopped taking Russian oil for the past 4 days. I don't know if this is true or not. It seems a little bit like one of those things just to try and create some confusion, as if India is already abiding by US interests. I just wanted to know. So these kinds of back and forth will happen. Overall, do you think that there is going to be a deal, any deal at all, in the next few months? General Ravi Shankar.
Yeah, thanks. You heard very clear positions which General Dushyant and General Rajiv Narayanan has put across. Let me take it a little further. First and foremost, a deal with USA is good. Just because Trump has gone off on a tangent doesn't mean that you don't get to your base.
Right.
You need a deal. That's the first thing. It's good for us and it's good for them also. But having said that, at this point of time, let's analyze why is Trump doing that. Actually, you mentioned it. Trump is doing this only because he wants a victory over Russia. He wants to finish that war and he wants to ensure that Russia loses. Because Russia is in a position that it can't lose. Ukraine and the rest of this thing are in a position they can't win. Unless Russia's, economy is choked off through the oil route, Russia can't come to heel. It's as simple as that. Trump is doing this not only with India, he's also doing with China. So his primary aim, which we came out, you know, in the third tweet today, is against Russia. This deal and all this nonsense, it's against Russia. Now, the fact is that whatever oil comes out of Russia, that's 12% of the global oil, 12 to 15, 14% of the global oil. If that is taken out of the market, there'll be a big tumult in the whole global market. He seems to be ready for that and, all that. So I don't know whether this can be done. That's the first thing. And secondly, why should you get out of Russia? Because you are getting a cheap oil for your country, so that's your national interest. And the government has come out very clearly to say we'll not upset our national interest. That to me is prime. The rest of the thing, I'll suffer some losses, some trade alignment, realignment, all that will happen. It will happen over the next 1 year. It doesn't matter. Okay. But immediately, who's to be protected? The common man in India has to be protected. To protect the common man, you can't get off Russia. Sample oil, as simple as that. Notwithstanding whatever you diversified. You just can't get off. There's no alternative to that. So you can't. That's a fundamental thing which we have to see. The second sticking point of the deal, which this chap Scott Bessent is now talking on TV and on wherever, saying that India has balked at everything. They're not opening up the markets. This, that, all that. He's after all he's a Treasury Secretary. He has to toe the Trump line. We can't open up our dairy products, agriculture to anyone else because that will be the collapse of our common man. Now, if these two fundamentals are not met, right, the government will go. Let's be very clear on that. So the government has got no choice but to take a stand. That's the first thing, right? The rest of the deal and all is a secondary thing. The second thing is, India is used to these sanctions and these nonsense. It's not new.
Yes.
You go back from Pokhran days, for every damn thing which you did, even if you went to go for a piss, these people would come and sanction you. Oh, the time has passed for that. As simple as that. It's up to, the Trump is living in a bubble of his own. He thinks he can sanction the whole world. So that can't happen. So that is out of the equation. And these sanctions, even if they'll slow your economy down a bit. But in the larger run, you can't be stopped. And third thing is that, which both the other generals have also said, we are a consuming economy. You can twist the tail of a producing economy. Or, economy like China. China will get twisted. China has got twisted already, actually. Trump, if you see 2 days back, 3 days back, there's a couple of articles in their leading media outlets, including New York Times. He says Trump has won the war. He's won the trade war with other countries because everyone has signed what he wants. Whether they get ratified or not is a different story. Even China is struggling. China also might cave in to certain things, right? But beyond that, even China can't do it because they have to answer the public. So, but India, it doesn't matter. You're a sponge, you'll take it. Some loss will be there, but we'll go. He can't twist your tail because you're a consuming economy, which I showed the first metric. Trade is not your forte in your GDP, right? Consumption is your forte. That's your god. And that is based on 1.4 billion people. If 1.4 billion people can consume, India will survive. It has survived for so many years, it will survive ahead also. That's the first part. Now, by doing this trade down, what happens? No, American exports will go nowhere. And anyway, they're not going anywhere. His defense is the major chunk of exports to India. That's going to suffer because there's going to be repercussions for this. So it's just not what we export and tariff. What he exports to us also is going to suffer. That hit, is he prepared to take? Right? Till the time this get resolved, that also will not get resolved. That we are not going to import from there anything. So it's a two-way street. Trump is playing hardball at this point of time.
Yeah.
Right. The third point is a very critical point. In America, let's go to the US angle. In US, there's a debate that, Trump has been pressurizing the Fed guy, Fed boss Powell, to decrease the interest rates and things like that. Now, today, Powell has come out and said, look, America is getting money because of this tariffs. There's no problem. The government is getting money, whatever the tariff rates are. But that money is not coming from exporters. Exporters are bearing only part of that, burden of these tariffs. The bulk of the money for the tariffs is being borne, or the bulk of the burden is being borne by importers in USA. And as a result, it is being passed on to the consumers. He's come out in open. Tomorrow, everyone will start saying, why are my prices going up in USA? Prices have not gone down. So if that is the case, and the Fed boss taking a stance like this publicly, saying that we have to see, he's very diplomatically said we'll have to see over the longer term. People will start questioning. Right. The next point is, look at the whole story. If USA has to be great again, and if USA's mark is China, that China is the peer competitor and I have to contain it, how can it do it without India? Whether you like it or not, this business of trade deal or no trade deal or tariff is going to get a huge emotional response from India. It's already there. Okay, everyone is following this. Now, if that huge emotional response is there, with already the mistrust we have about USA, and it's, that it doesn't live up to its commitments as a partner, this partnership goes nowhere. If this partnership goes nowhere, how does he contain China? He can't. So he has to, at some point of time, start thinking. Okay, but forget about that, forget about everything. We have to come to a reality. It's nice to say, I'll do this, I'll do that, and all that. We need to now very seriously start thinking of doing things the right way. You need to be able to stand on your own. That's the first thing which we need to realize, that neither will Trump help us, nor will Xi Jinping help us, nor will Putin help us beyond a point. If Opsendur has taught us anything, that you have to stand on your own. If you have to stand on your own, and this is the lesson you learned, that completely America has turned turtle and he's gone, and he is getting this Asim Munir to whatever he wants to do with him, and he's backing Pakistan so openly. Do you think we should go ahead with a strategic partnership with USA? It's a question mark. You can't do a partnership with China. You can't do a partnership with USA anymore, right? If that is the case, what are you going to do? Forget this, whatever happens with Trump, he's not putting us in a corner. Your economy is not going to suffer. You'll have a little blip, but you'll get out of it. But what is your fundamental larger strategy and game plan? Would you like to go to EU, who's also playing the Trump thing? Or would you like to go to Brazil? Like to go to Argentina? And where? Are you going to do your deals with Japan? Or strategy? The fundamental fact still remains Pakistan and China are still your problems. Is there a case for us to now bite the bullet and say, I will now put 3 to 3.5% in my defense budget? And this is not something idea I'm giving. This has come out in Opsendur parliamentary debate. Some of the people have got up and said it's high time we started increasing the defense budget seriously. Is there a case for us to somehow have a plan to get the technology which we don't have on board? Is there a case? See, we all say we should get F-35 or Su-57 or whatever, 5th, 6th, 7th generation. Is there a case for us to seriously rethink that do you need to change the concept of air power and depend on your own missiles and things like that, and do alternate things so that you don't depend on anyone else or from outside? So I think this is a huge wake-up call. And the good thing in this is you hit this speed bump at a time when you can afford it. Because Pakistan is in no state to do anything naughty. Because its air defense is still down. Its aircraft, I mean, all their airfields are not up. That's even the Prime Minister says so. Will they do anything now? No. The Chinese are in their own mess. So the chances of anything happening on our borders is less. So this is the time we have to strike out. You have to take risks. You have to invest and do something big. And not say, okay, I mean, we can keep talking about Trump till the cows come home. Let him do what he wants for the USA. We need to do what is good for us. That is the more important thing which I want to take home from this discussion. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir.